message moved across the stars. It was clear, loud, and full of fear. Humans must be stopped. The message came from the Galactic Council, a group of the oldest, most powerful alien races in the galaxy. They had ruled space for thousands of years. But now, they were afraid. In the center of a dark hall, the council members sat in silence. Their faces were tense. Lights flickered above them. A large screen showed images, humans landing on distant planets, building cities on frozen moons, walking on surfaces where no life had ever walked before. One alien, tall and green-skinned, spoke in a cold voice. They were supposed to die on Earth. They were not meant to come this far. Another council member, covered in feathers, nodded. They crossed 5 star systems in less than 100 years. They survived poison, fire, ice, even black holes. They don't stop. The leader of the council stood up. His voice was heavy and slow. We must act now, before they become unstoppable. A decision was made. The council passed the ban. From now on, no alien race would help humans. No trade, no technology, no contact. Any species that broke the rule would be punished. The goal was simple: isolate Earth. Let humans die in silence. But deep inside the council room, one alien watched quietly. Her name was Karen. She belonged to the Zelari, a race known for their wisdom. She turned to her assistant and whispered, "This ban means nothing. We're not stopping them. We're just buying time, before they rise." Far away, on a human colony near the edge of the galaxy, a signal was received. A young technician read it and laughed. "Looks like we've been banned," he said. His commander smiled. "Good, that means they're scared." Across human space, no panic was felt. Instead, something strange happened. They worked harder. They built faster. They pushed beyond limits. With no help from others, they started creating their own machines, their own weapons, and even their own way to travel faster than light. What should have slowed them down only made them stronger. One alien spy was sent to observe a human research base. He expected chaos, fear, maybe failure. But what he saw shocked him. Inside the lab, scientists were working together like a perfect machine. Young minds solving impossible problems. Engineers creating new ships from scrap. A child, no older than 10, was building a working drone on her own. The spy returned to the council and reported, "They don't need us anymore. They are becoming something new." But the council didn't listen. They sent warnings to all races. Stay away from humans, and most obeyed. Fear is a strong thing in space. Many believed the ban would make humans collapse. Yet every week, another report arrived. Humans had reached a new planet, unlocked new tech, or survived another impossible disaster. They were growing, learning, and adapting. And they were doing it alone. Karen watched this all in silence. She stood on her ship, staring out into the stars. "We tried to keep them small," she said quietly, "but they don't know how to stay small." On Earth, leaders received updates from across colonies. One general looked at the map and saw something amazing. Human colonies had now spread across 8 star systems, with no outside help, no gifts, just their own hands and minds. The general turned to his team. "They tried to cage us, but we were never inside the cage. We were only waiting for the right moment." Somewhere in deep space, a human AI sent out a silent message to all colonies: "We're ready." And the galaxy was not. Long before humans reached the stars. Their story began on a small blue planet called Earth. It was not a peaceful place. It was full of war, hunger, sickness, and disaster. For thousands of years, humans fought each other, destroyed their own lands, and faced every kind of pain. But they never gave up. Where other species would break, humans adapted. When a disease came, they made medicine. When the skies grew dark, they built lights. When the oceans rose, they made floating cities. And when they had nothing left, they created hope. That was always their power. They refused to stop. The Galactic Council believed that removing help would destroy them. Without alien technology, trade, or guidance, humans were supposed to fall behind. But what happened next surprised everyone. In a cold and empty corner of space, a human outpost was built in only 6 months. The planet was dead, full of storms and ice, but humans didn't care. They wore strong suits, built underground tunnels, and made warmth out of machines. One worker said while digging, "This planet wants to kill us." "Good. That means it'll teach us something." On Mars, Scientists were building faster computers and smarter AI. One small team created a new kind of robot that could build entire cities alone. When asked why they worked so hard, the lead scientist replied, "Because they closed the door on us. So now, we build our own doors." The council watched all this in silence. Some believed humans were using stolen alien tech, but the truth was harder to accept. Humans had learned. They had watched, listened, and improved everything they touched. Now, they were building better tools than the aliens who once helped them. A quiet panic began inside the council chambers. One member said, "How can they move this fast? We slowed them down, didn't we?" Another replied, "They were never slow, they were just quiet." In secret, small alien races began watching humans from far away. One tiny species, known for staying hidden, sent a message back home. They are building empires, and they are doing it without fear. Back on Earth, something new was happening. Children were learning advanced science before the age of 10. Soldiers were training not just for war, but for survival in space. Farmers were growing food in zero gravity. Artists were painting stars they had never seen. It was like the entire race had woken up from a long sleep. A famous human writer wrote in his journal, "When they turned away from us, they gave us something better than help. They gave us silence. And in silence, we found ourselves." The council grew restless. They didn't know how to stop something that refused to slow down. One leader suggested attacking a human colony in secret. Another warned, "If you attack them now, they will not retreat. They will rise." Somewhere in deep space, a young human pilot sat in her ship. She was only 20, but she had already visited 3 different star systems. She looked out at the stars and whispered, "We're not just surviving anymore. We're exploring." And she was right. By now, humans had built 16 colonies, some on dry, dusty worlds, others on floating platforms above gas giants. Each one was different, but all of them had the same core: strength through struggle. And alien scientists studied human DNA and found something shocking. Their cells changed under pressure. Their minds became sharper after pain. Their bodies didn't just heal, they improved. He wrote a simple note in his lab book: "They are built to evolve." At the edge of council space, a group of alien ships detected something strange. A fleet of human vessels, made of unknown materials, passed through an asteroid field with perfect precision. No one spoke, no one fired. They were just moving forward. Karen, the same alien who once warned the council, watched the humans from her own ship. She saw their growth, their strength, their calm focus. She looked at the stars and said, "They banned them, but they forgot what humans do best. They turned limits into lessons." Far away, on Earth, a new plan was being made. Not to attack, not to conquer, but to expand. Carefully, patiently, boldly, one step at a time. The stars were no longer silent, and humans were just getting started. The galaxy was quiet, but not at peace. In a far-off system called Thalos 4, a small neutral planet was under attack. Pirate ships surrounded it, burning towns and stealing resources. The planet's leaders sent a desperate message to the Galactic Council, begging for help. But help never came. The Council had passed the ban. No aid was allowed for any world connected to humans, and this planet had once traded with a human colony. The people of Thalos 4 waited as their skies turned red. Smoke rose from their cities. Families hid underground. One young alien boy asked his father, "Is this how we die?" The father had no answer. The pirate ships continued to destroy everything. Their leader laughed on open channels. "No one is coming. You are alone now." But then, something appeared in the sky. First, one ship, then 2, then 10. Sleek black designs, strange markings, and an energy signature no one had seen before. The pirates paused. One of them whispered, "Those aren't council ships." They weren't. They were human. Without saying a word, the human ships moved into formation, fast, precise, and silent. Red lights flashed, missiles launched, shields activated. The pirates tried to run, but it was too late. In under 3 minutes, the battle was over. The human fleet hovered above the burning cities. Then, small pods dropped down, not weapons, supplies, food, medical kits, water. The people of Thalos 4 stepped out of the ruins and stared at the sky. They had expected death. They received salvation. The governor of the planet tried to contact the human fleet. After a few seconds, a voice answered, calm, measured, "You're safe now. We will not stay. but you are not forgotten. The governor asked, "Why? Why would you help us?" "The council has banned you." The voice replied, "Because right is still right, and wrong is still wrong." Even in silence, the human fleet disappeared just as quickly as it came. No demands, no glory, no reward. News spread fast. Other alien races heard what had happened, and they began to wonder. Maybe the council was wrong. Maybe humans weren't the enemy. Maybe they were something else entirely. In the council chamber, the story caused chaos. They helped the planet. One leader shouted, "They broke the ban." Another cried, but Karen only smiled. "No," she said softly. "They followed something older than the ban, something more powerful." "What's that?" one council member asked. "Conscience," she replied. The council tried to cover the news, tried to twist the story, but it was too late. Videos leaked. Testimonies spread. An alien child described how a human drone had carried her to safety from a burning building. "They didn't speak," she said, "but I wasn't afraid. I felt safe." Some council races began questioning the ban. A quiet division began to grow. It was no longer about fear. It was about trust, about who was really standing for peace. On a human ship far from any star, a young commander was reviewing the mission logs. Her team had saved over 3,000 lives. She closed the file and leaned back. "They'll come after us for this," her pilot warned. "Let them," she replied. "We didn't do it for them." Back on Earth, news of the rescue was received with pride, not as a victory, but as a reminder of who they were, and who they wanted to be. The ban had tried to isolate them, but instead it had pushed them to find a new path, a better one where strength didn't mean power. It meant protection. The stars were watching now, and humans had just spoken, not with words, but with action. The council was angry. The humans had broken no law, but they had broken the council's pride. They were growing, helping others, becoming heroes. And the galaxy was watching. Behind closed doors, the council met in secret. Their voices were low, but their anger was loud. One elder said, "If we don't stop them now, they will become the center of everything." Another leaned forward. "We can't fight them openly, but maybe we don't have to." A plan was born, a new kind of weapon, not ships, not bombs, but something darker, a virus, designed in hidden labs. This virus was made only for humans. It would enter their bodies silently, weaken their minds, break their strength, and erase their future. It would look like a natural illness, but it wouldn't be. The council gave it a name, Project Silence. The virus was placed inside cargo, disguised as lost space junk. It floated near a human colony on the planet New Terra. When the humans found it, they brought it in to study, not knowing what they had just welcomed. Within days, people on New Terra began to fall sick. Strong workers became weak. Scientists couldn't think clearly. Children couldn't stand. At first, they thought it was something natural, a new planet sickness, but soon, it was clear this was something else. Back on Earth, alarms sounded. Top researchers gathered. Medical AI scanned the virus, and what it found was shocking. This wasn't nature, this was design. A weapon built with knowledge of human biology. A weapon made by someone who had studied them deeply. One doctor stared at the data and said, "This was made to destroy us." Panic could have followed, but it did, and single quotes T. Instead, humans did what they always did, they fought back. Across colonies, research began. Medicines were tested. Blood samples were studied. People volunteered to be part of experiments. No one ran. No one gave up. In less than 6 days, a cure was found. Not just a cure, a countervirus. It entered the body, found the infection, and destroyed it from inside. But it also did something more. It made the immune system stronger, smarter. The next time something like this came, the body would be ready. The council received the news with disbelief. One scientist said, "This should have taken them years." Another said, "How do they do it so fast?" Karen, watching from a distance, gave the answer. Because pain teaches them. Because survival is not new to them. You gave them a challenge, and they turned it into armor. But the humans were not done. A team of special agents tracked the origin of the virus. Data was followed. Signals traced. Hidden codes cracked. They found the lab. It was deep inside a moon in council space, protected, secret, but not invisible. The human team arrived without warning. There was no war, no blood. They entered, copied every file, and left a single message on the wall. We learned fast. The council tried to deny everything. But the truth had already spread. Even those loyal to the council began asking questions. Who makes a weapon like this? Who targets only one race? Who breaks peace in the name of control? And while the galaxy questioned, humans focused. They didn't celebrate. They didn't ask for revenge. They healed their sick, rebuilt what was lost, and prepared for what might come next. On New Terra, the colony stood again. Children laughed. Factories reopened. Life returned. One young girl, who had been near death, now played outside. She looked up at the stars and said, "They tried to hurt us, but now we're even stronger." Back on Earth, a scientist wrote in his journal, "They wanted to silence us, but we turned silence into signal. They wanted us to break, but we bend. We don't break." Far away, in the deepest parts of space, the stars watched, and they whispered to each other, "Humans don't fall, they rise." Inside the tall silver towers of the council, the air had changed. There was still power, still silence, but no more unity. Some members looked nervous, others angry. The virus plan had failed. Humans had survived, again, but this time, the galaxy had noticed. In the quiet corners of the chamber, whispers began. A member of the Orokai race stood in the shadows, watching the others argue. She spoke only one sentence. "We have become the threat we once feared." No one replied. For the first time in many centuries, doubt had entered the council. On a distant planet called Luma-6, a small alien village received a visitor. A single human diplomat, unarmed, traveled there without protection. The elders were shocked. "You came here alone?" one asked. The human smiled. "Yes, we don't bring weapons, just words." The aliens had once been close to Earth. Before the ban, they had shared knowledge, traded art and music, and they had missed those days. In private, the alien leader said, "We want peace. We want truth. The council is no longer what it was." The human nodded. "We don't ask you to choose sides. We only ask you to remember." The alien placed his hand on the human's shoulder. "We remember." Back on Earth, quiet messages began to arrive from different parts of the galaxy. Tiny signals, broken codes, hidden messages. "We support you. You are not alone." They don't speak for all of us. The messages came from scientists, students, warriors, and even old enemies, all saying the same thing. The ban had no power over what people felt, and many now felt something new for humans' respect. Inside the council, the divide was growing. One group still pushed for more control. They wanted to block Earth completely, use force if needed. Another group, smaller but louder, started to question everything. "What if we're wrong?" one asked. "What if they are the future, and we're just standing in the way?" Karen, who had always watched silently, finally spoke clearly in the council chamber. "The ban has failed. Fear has failed. And still, you want more of the same. But the humans, they offer something else. Growth, change, unity." Her words echoed. Some nodded. Others frowned. But one thing was clear. The council was no longer one voice. Meanwhile, on a space station near the edge of human territory, a secret meeting was taking place. 2 humans and 3 aliens sat at a table. No cameras, no weapons, just plans. The alien diplomat, a young feathered creature from the Javari people, said, "If you ever need us, we will come." The human smiled. "Not with weapons, with friendship." The alien bowed his head. "With both, if needed." The seed of an alliance had been planted. Quiet, small, but real. Back on Earth, human leaders saw the change. They didn't make big announcements. They didn't declare victory. They just prepared for peace, prepared for war, prepared for whatever came next. In a classroom on Mars, a young girl read the news. She turned to her teacher and asked, "Why do they hate us so much?" The teacher replied, "Because we changed faster than they expected, and because we didn't wait for permission." The girl smiled. "Good. I don't like waiting." In the black space between stars, ships moved quietly. Some carried goods, some carried people, and some carried hope. Hope that one day, the stars would belong to everyone, not just the oldest, not just the loudest, but to the ones who had earned it through struggle. Humans had never asked for power, but now, it was coming to them anyway, not because they demanded it, because they proved they could carry it. The council had waited long enough. They saw the growing support for humans, quiet friendships, secret alliances, whispers of rebellion. It had to stop. In the center of the council chamber, the high speaker stood before thousands. His voice was calm but cold. "We gave them a chance. They broke the ban. They crossed lines. Now, we respond." And with that, the order was given. Operation Starcage began. A massive fleet of warships, over 200 strong, left Council space. Their target, the human colony on Relis Prime, a peaceful mining world. No weapons, no military base, just families, workers, scientists. The idea was simple: make an example, crush one colony, and the rest would fall in line. The fleet moved fast. Back on Earth, humans saw the incoming attack. Satellites flashed warnings. Long-range sensors picked up the movement. Inside Earth Command, a general spoke only 2 words: "They're coming." There wasn't enough time to send a full defense. Relis Prime was too far. Only 3 human ships could reach in time, 3 against 200. Everyone thought it was hopeless, but the humans didn't cancel the rescue. They launched the mission anyway, not because they believed they could win, because they refused to let their people die alone. As the Council fleet arrived near Relis Prime, the 3 human ships came out of warp, small, outnumbered, but not afraid. The Council commander laughed. 3 ships, that's their answer. Then something unexpected happened. More ships appeared, not human, Javari, Orukai, Vexen, Kroran races, who had never worked together before, races who had once stayed quiet. Now, they stood beside humans. The battlefield changed. One Council officer shouted, "They brought aliens with them." The commander hesitated. This wasn't in the plan. The alien ships formed a wall between the colony and the fleet. Their message was clear: you will not pass. A single message came through, from a Javari captain: "You fight for control, we fight for life." The Council gave one final warning: "Step aside." The aliens replied, "No." The first shots were fired. Lasers lit up space. Explosions echoed in the black sky. Human pilots worked side by side with alien warriors. Drones flew in perfect patterns. Fighters covered each other without needing to speak. They were outnumbered, but not outwilled. On Relis Prime, people watched the sky turn red and blue and gold. They stood together, holding hands, praying silently, not just for survival, but for a sign. And then, the Council fleet began to fall back. One by one, ships retreated. Systems failed. Morale cracked. They had expected fear. They found fire. The human ships took heavy damage. One was lost. But they held the line, because they were no longer alone. When the battle ended, space went quiet. The Council had failed, not because they were weak, but because the galaxy had changed, and they hadn't seen it. News of the battle spread like fire. Across star systems, beings of every kind saw the images. Humans standing next to aliens, blood and metal, side by side. Not for conquest, not for control, for each other. Back in the Council chamber, chaos returned. Some shouted for more war, others called for retreat. But one voice, calm, old, and respected, finally said what many feared: "We are no longer in charge." On Earth, silence filled the war room. The surviving pilots returned, wounded, tired, but proud. One soldier said, "We thought we were alone. Turns out, we were just first." A child on Relis Prime looked up at the sky and whispered, "They came for us. Not just humans, friends, allies, hope, And for the first time in centuries, the stars didn't just belong to the Council. They belonged to everyone. Asterisk. The Council was broken. What was once a symbol of order was now a chamber of arguments and fear. Their fleet had failed. Their control was slipping. Old allies were turning away. And worst of all, people were choosing humans, not because humans had the most power, but because they had earned something more: respect. In a private meeting, the last loyal Council members gathered, angry, bitter, afraid. "They've turned the galaxy against us," one said. "They're not just strong, they're trusted," said another. One voice, full of pride, still wanted war. "We will strike again, bigger this time." But Karen stood up. "No, you won't." All turned to her. "You brought this on yourselves. The ban, the virus, the fear." And still, they rose. Still, they saved. Still, they chose peace. "They are not like us." Silence followed. Then, she walked away. Her voice echoed behind her. "They are better." Outside the Council's failing walls, something new was beginning. On Earth, leaders from across galaxies arrived for the first United Worlds Summit, no longer under the Council. This was something else, equal, open, shared, aliens and humans, shook hands, signed treaties, built plans for shared colonies, joint science missions, new laws based on cooperation, not control. A child from the Vexen race stood next to a human child, both waving flags of stars in the halls of the summit. A journalist asked a human commander, "You were hated, banned, targeted. Why didn't you quit?" The commander smiled. "Because we never started this to be liked. We started this to survive. And survival taught us something. When no one helps you, help others. That's how you win." The journalist nodded. "That's how you lead." He whispered. Far beyond the summit, in the deep stars, old council ships powered down. Some surrendered, some disappeared, and some simply stopped, unsure of what to believe anymore. On Relis Prime, now fully rebuilt, a monument stood in the central plaza. It showed a human pilot and an alien medic, both holding up a torch. The base had just one word, "Together," and beneath it, smaller words, "They tried to divide us. We became one." Back in the ruins of the old council tower, Karen stood alone. She watched the stars through a broken window. Someone behind her asked, "Is it over?" She didn't turn. "No," she said softly. "It's just beginning." Because the galaxy didn't fall, it changed, and at the center of that change were humans, not perfect, not powerful, but unstoppable. Asterisk.